Well, welcome back. We're concluding day 3 of our tour here through Israel. Today we spent a lot of time on the bus driving. We went down somewhat near the Egypt border. We were still quite
as close as you're allowed to go.
As close as you're allowed to go, yeah. And so a lot of what we discussed today was looking into the conflict with other nations and sort of the issues. So we got to look at the IDF, Israel's military there, and some of the precautions and training areas that they do down near the Egyptian border. And after that, we went to Sederot, which is a town not too far from the Gaza border. If you want to elaborate.
Very close to the Gaza border. It's like only like a mile or something like that. That's one of the main communities that gets targeted by the rockets coming out of the Gaza Strip. Yeah, but it's a thriving community right now. It's really booming. They're building lots, and we got to go to that community, and we had lunch there. We went up on the roof of I think it was a Hebrew school.
I think so, yeah.
And so yeah, we got to check that out and view from there. You know, I found out a little bit about the way that they live. They get like, in each home, it's required for them to have a safe room that has specific specifications to make sure they're safe during a missile strike. But they only have like 10 seconds of warning before a missile could hit their community and stuff. And so even by like the parks, there's these bomb shelters that they need to get to. I guess they always have to be conscious of where these places are. It's kind of definitely hit home when I find out this playground. That I was like, oh, cool playground. I'm gonna take a picture of for my kids. Eli would love this. And then you find out later, oh yeah, the missile actually hit that playground. You know, not too long ago.
So I'm standing here at a playground, and you can see it now. Now it's all nicely built, and I should say rebuilt, because it was only a few years ago, I believe 2 years ago, that this place was bombed. Gaza had bombed it, and so I don't know what kind of mind you have to bomb a children's playground, but they have here a bomb shelter. And so if this were to ever happen again, you could take shelter in there. But this is the sort of thing that goes on here. Israel being at conflict, and so Gaza sends missiles. In the current area we're here, they've been bombed many times, and yet that they rebuild, and they rebuild stronger. And so it's a great testimony, but it's definitely very sad. So fortunately, no one was hurt in this, but still.
So when you hear the going, you have 10 seconds to get into your bomb shelter before the missile hits. So from the time they launch, they pick it up on the satellites, they alert it to let the siren go, to let the people know that this is coming. You have 10 seconds to get into your bomb shelter. Now, you can imagine that if you were at this playground and you were playing, that's 10 seconds where you have to go and get your kids and then bring your kids into the bomb shelter, or in your house, gather everybody to get here. This is the sort of lives that they live here in Sderot. And in many areas of Israel, as there's this constant threat.
But what's fascinating, just like, you know, I think they said in the course, even just that town alone, 2,500 missiles strikes on that town alone, you know, is just kind of really hard to fathom. Obviously they have some defense mechanisms, but they don't get all of them and whatnot. But just the hate towards the Jewish people, crazy. And then even, you know, the world's view of Israel and the anti-Semitism in the world, that like anytime Israel tries to do anything to defend themselves, it's like they're always painted in a poor light, you know, and it's just, I don't know. It's obviously you hear about these things sort of, but when you're here and you actually see these things, it's a bit more real what the Jewish people are going through on the ground.
So we're just overlooking the border between Israel and Gaza, and Gaza homes a terrorism place known as Hamas, and so they've been labeled as terrorists by Canada, the United States, many other places, and Israel, and they're the ones that are basically responsible for bombing that playground and many of the other areas in the place that we were just visiting. And so we're overlooking. They have cameras that are watching everything, so you probably see us and everything. But so you see some of the pictures and that of their place. That there's a lot of war and a lot of stuff that they deal with here.
Yeah, we went up to Camel Hill Lookout, which is kind of right between that town, that city, and in Gaza. You could actually see the fence that went around it. What was interesting was they've also dug and built a wall underneath the ground all the way to like where there's underground water, because they can't really dig through that and stuff, because the people in Gaza were building tunnels and just to go right into Israel and to make holes in the ground and like just come out of there and create terror and whatnot. And heard about some individuals that were killed through that, and them even just like having phone lines going through, and does they always make their way through? Are we attacking today? No. Okay, they come back and stuff like that. So went down, they found, I think they said over 30 tunnels underneath that border with like whole rooms and stuff like that, and whatnot. So yeah, they built a big old wall underneath the ground. They have a fence above ground, so we could see the fence from that lookout. Just how close, you're like, whoa, this is super close to that town right there, maybe a mile or two.
Mile and a half, I think.
A mile and a half.
They were saying. Yeah, they had a couple of displays on the roof there at the Advanced Tour School. They had a couple statues, monuments there, and they're made out of old missiles. Mm-hmm. They had a menorah there that was made out of missiles, and the gentleman who was sort of leading us, he was talking about they continue to persecute, and they haven't had missiles in a while, but they've had a lot. He says, we still rebuild over and over, and we build faster than they can destroy us. Mm-hmm. And so it was definitely encouraging that they're standing strong, and at the same time that there is that difficult aspect to it, because we want them to know the true hope of the world, and they have so much pride in the land, and which is good, but it's almost to the sense where it's their faith is in where they are here, instead of directing it towards Christ, and so that's a little bit difficult. And some of the other pastors and FOI reps on the tour have made mention of that as well.